Hey, what's up everybody? This is VisitJoan and welcome to the build of Pleasantview High School. Now, a couple things I kind of want to point out before I get too in-depth with the build here is that, number one, this was actually built back in April. Yeah, I know, I've had this planned out for that long, but I needed to finish Trouble in Paradise first, and I honestly have been holding off on editing it because it is such a big build. In fact, I decided to, just actually split it into two parts. So this part is going to be me building the school, and the next part, which will be out in a couple of days, if you're watching this on the day it came out, will be me basically furnishing the school. And I did cut a lot of stuff out too. But anyway, I'm building this because I needed it as a set for Trouble in Paradise. And I was kind of preparing about this before I even had my computer. I was looking at stuff on Pinterest to get ideas of what the school would look like and what the inside would look like, and I had pinned stuff and all this other stuff, and I normally don't go for build inspiration on Pinterest, but for this high school thing I did because I didn't have a computer and I couldn't really just build, and I wanted to build it anyway. So I kind of took notes and kind of wrote down everything I needed to make sure that I got everything that would be in this high school. And today is actually Ralt's Community Day, and I kind of forgot about that when I was making my plans, and so all of a sudden I realized, oh wait, that's in like an hour. I guess I'm not going to be able to record more today. Not that I need to, because I'm so far ahead, as you can probably tell by, well, those of you that play Pokemon Go know exactly when I am filming this, and so Ralt's I usually don't do Community Day because, I don't know, it's just logistics complications, stuff like that. But the Ralt's line is in my top 5 favorite Pokemon, so in about an hour or so, I'm going to go out and see if I can't finally get a freaking Gardevoir. But anyway, you guys, this is the high school that Lilith and Dirk and every one of them go to, and although filming here is kind of going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt, because, it's such a massive build and so much information, these Sims take like 5 minutes between when I tell them to do something and when they decide, oh, I'm actually going to do this. So it's just, I don't know what I'm going to do if that's the case, but I mean, I kind of filmed here a little bit this morning for one video that I don't know when this is going to go out and when that video is going to go up. I'm just working ahead as much as I can so I can get stuff done, so I can, do more stuff like, I don't know, but like I said before, I did build this back in April. It was one of the first things I did when I got my new computer, and as you can tell, because of the old, maybe you can't tell here, or maybe you can once I get to the doors and the windows, because they have the old icons and you don't see any Island Living stuff, and I actually filmed this before any of that was released, like a way long time ago. But I'm finally putting it up, and oh my goodness, can we talk for a minute about rooms in The Sims 4? Because I had so many problems with this thing, and the majority of it had to do with the way rooms are done in The Sims. And it'd be like I'd make a mistake, and then I'd go back and erase something, but the room would stay there. And so, I'd go to the next level, and there'd be no floor on the next level for me to build on, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I actually had to go through and physically put the floor in there, and I cut a lot of that out too, but, the way it usually goes. And also because of that, for some weird reason, I still have no idea why, maybe some of you can help me out, but when I went to paint the rooms and do all this other stuff, I had to redo a lot of stuff that I already did. I'd be like, okay, I want to paint this room blue. And I'd put, hold down the shift key so I could get the whole room blue. And sometimes only part of the room would show up, and sometimes just some random wall, just clear the heck out there, nowhere near this room, would also turn blue, because apparently it was considered part of the same room. I don't know why, but it was just, I had to redo a lot of stuff, and it was really annoying, but I got through it. And right now, well, I'm probably going to edit this a little bit, but right now, what I am looking at right now is me doing the foyer of the school. I kind of had a little entrance in there, and you have the offices there, and then you go into the foyer, and I thought it would be really cool to have a 3-story foyer with, just balconies and lockers on the balconies and, stuff like that. And, my high school didn't have 3 floors. Mine had 2, and the second floor was only a part of the school, but my cousin had a high school that, had 4 floors. So, it just depends on the school, and I saw a lot of pictures like this on Pinterest and stuff like that. And I basically, went off of my own high school experience, which I will be talking a little bit about in the next video, because, well, I'm not going to do that with people eavesdropping on me, but I figured for this video, if I actually do end up just sticking to the actual build, it should be okay and nobody should complain about what I'm talking about. But anyway, you guys. So you know, one of the things that I put in this school, and you will see me work on in like 2 seconds, if well, probably not 2 seconds, but anyway, this is the library, and I decided to actually have like a little balcony in the library, have it be like a 2-story library. And then the library has like a little computer lab, and then right across the hallway is the computer lab, because, you know, that's what my school had. We had computers in the library, and then we had, you know, a bunch of other computer labs. Like, one of the computer labs was the math science lab, and the first time I went there, you know, I heard it was the mad science lab for some weird reason. I'm like, wait a minute, our school has a mad science lab? Like, and they're like, no, it's the math science lab. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's not great. But the computer lab actually has, you know, glass doors facing the cafeteria. So when you're in the cafeteria, which is also a 2-story part of the school, you see people on the computers. And when you're on the computers, you can see people eating in the cafeteria. And, you know, this build actually did take, like, multiple days to actually finish. I usually do, like, 2 Sims sessions a day because, I don't know, that's just the routine I have. But when I was doing this, you know, it would be like, I'd do one in the morning and I'd build, you know, another one of the houses that at the time I'm recording this, recently posted. And then I'd do this in the afternoon and I'd listen to M&J TV stream shiny hunting. And he was really frustrated because he couldn't find the Kabuto in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. And it did not end up being entertaining for a while. But when he finally found it, I actually wasn't paying attention because I was looking at stuff on Pinterest. That's what I get for not paying attention to things. But right now I am doing the roof, which was really, oh my goodness, roofing's a pain in the butt. Especially for a building like this because, you know, a lot of schools have like flat roofs. And that's why the roof is always leaking, because there's nothing there for the rain to fall down on. The rain just sits there and it just leaks. Like, I don't know how many times in school I've seen like buckets and stuff. But this roof, you know, wasn't all that bad. And so some of the things I did put in the school were a lot of things I had in my own high school. Like, we had a gym, we had a fitness center. We actually had a balcony between the gym and the field house where we would go and do aerobics. And that was where, you know, the wrestling team would practice. But they put like aerobics videos on the TVs up there. And then we would do aerobics up there. And I'll tell you more about that in another video. But I actually have courtyards, and there's like the 3rd floor where you could just walk out over the courtyards because, you know, it was really nice to just, when you're going to class at like the very end of the year, to just walk out in the courtyards, and there would always be a pair of ducks that would nest in this courtyard. So these ducks would be walking around with little ducklings. It was just so adorable. But anyway, I put a couple of science classrooms in like on like the 2nd floor, and that's why those classrooms are bigger than the other ones. And there's a pool because, yeah, well, my school, yeah, it did have a pool. And so there's an auditorium, there's a cooking classroom, there's art classrooms, there's like a shop classroom. I don't even know if my school even had that or not, but we had whatchamacallit. There was like a garage kind of thing. Like, I never took that class, but you know, it was there for people who wanted to learn how to work on cars. So that was pretty interesting. And what else did we have? Oh yeah, I did put like a media room in there because I was in high school on like, you know, part of the group that did the morning announcements every day. Well, at least for junior and senior year anyway. I have one of those in there as well, and I did work on it a little bit later when I was like furnishing the school. And I also put in like a lot of different like generic classrooms, which I guess I really didn't have to do because it's just a set. But I wanted it to look like, you know, an actual school, and so, you know, there was that, and I was trying to figure out where to put, like, the changing rooms for the gym and the pool, and I finally just decided to put them, you know, going into the pool, and, you know, they would just go into the locker rooms, change, and then walk across the hall to the gym. So there are a couple of music rooms. I don't think we necessarily had, like, a music class, but, you know, the choir had its own room, and I actually got lost trying to find that on my first day, and it turns out it was, like, you go right in the front door and then take, like, a left. And I didn't understand those directions or whatever, so I just couldn't find it, but, yeah, that was a funny story. But, the orchestra had its own room. I think the band probably had its own room, too. And the music area just had, like, its own wing right by the art area. So I put, like, a couple of music classrooms in there. There was, like, a room that would be for, like, choir, the room that would be for, like, the orchestra and the band. But in a lot of like the generic classrooms, I put like a lot of different, decorations in there depending on like what I could see would be in the classroom. Like if it was like a history classroom, I put a lot of like those black and white photos. And if it was like a writing classroom, there'd be like framed journalistic articles. And, some of the other ones, the really small ones, I figured would be more like resource classrooms. Oh goodness, I'm not even going to get into that right now. But, because, we had some small resource classrooms too in our school. And so I kind of had these like little vestibules in like the hallways because, I saw something, if somebody made like an apartment complex for The Sims 2, and I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's cool, like a little seating area, where you could kind of like sit, or maybe after school where you could sit and do your homework if you had to stay after school for some reason, or, just all this other stuff. And I guess I can talk a little bit about like what high school is like. I'm not gonna get into any particular stories in this video, but I guess I could tell you like a little bit of what it was like. Like we had, I think the major thing that made my high school experience different from a lot of other people's, although there are a lot of people who have this too, is that my high school had block scheduling. And what that means is that instead of, 9 45-minute classes, the day was divided into 4 90-minute sections with an extra 45-minute period for lunch. So year-long classes lasted for a semester, and semester-long classes lasted for 1 term. And at the beginning of the next semester, we get an entirely different schedule with new classes. Now, there were some exceptions for this because we usually had, one block that was divided into 2 45-minute classes because, it was further divided into 9 45-minute periods. And that would be to allow for lunch. Like C block was you'd either have the first C block, which was periods 5 and 6, or the second one, which would be periods 6 and 7, or you'd have a 5th period class, lunch 6th period, and then a 7th period class. So basically, lunch was a 45-minute period, PE was a 45-minute period, which you had every day, all year, and, choir was like a 45-minute period, and study hall as well was also a 45-minute period. But other than that, we had like 90-minute long classes. So, when I went to college, and that's what they usually have in college, I was like ready to go. I'm like, I can deal with this. I did this in high school. But, PE had a really interesting system because, as freshmen, we would stay with our PE class. But sophomore through senior year, we actually, they would do like this every other day thing where like every other day was what they would call a card day. And what you do is you get a card and there have to be like 4 activities and you had to do like 2 of each of them. Like you had to at least run twice, go to the fitness center twice, do aerobics twice, and swim twice. And everyone was like, you have got to get your swims done because everyone's going to put them off and wait until the very end of the term to get their swims done. And then you're not going to find a spot in the pool. Because, spots were limited, so you'd always want to be the first one there. But the day after that would be, you play a specific sport, and there were actually tracks that would determine, what sport you would play. And it would be like I think it was like based on seniority, but you got to pick which track you got in. So like, we played badminton, we played pickleball one time, we did floor hockey, we did basketball, just things like that. And the semester was basically divided into like 4 units, and one of those units every semester would always be swimming. So we know that we'd have to swim at least once during a semester, but other than that, we got to pretty much pick what we got to do. And of course, you could also take like alternatives, like, there was dance class, there was like an advanced swimming class. But the main exception would be sophomore year when you had to take health class. And oh boy, I have some interesting stories about that. But I'm not going to get into that right now because anyway, we are coming to the end of this part. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate you leaving a like. Please consider subscribing so that you know when the next part is up. And I'm going to be seeing you in the next part, guys. Bye, everybody.